in the fields. However, when they squeezed them by hand, the reality was a bit different than the promise. The pipes felt soft, and the walls were as thin as a sheet of paper, hardly the stuff of legends. But in the uncle's mouth, this was rebranded as aerospace-grade polymer material, which sounds much more impressive, doesn't it? Everyone dreamed of getting rich, thinking that without any further worries, they could finally move up in the world. They believed they would enjoy cheap, clean water just like the people in the big cities do. But they didn't know that in the hands of fate, things that seem free have often already hidden their true price. The dream shattered during the very first month when it came time to actually pay for the water. It was late May, the critical time when the fruit trees are blooming and the harvest is beginning to set. The demand for water was growing more and more intense with each passing day. The Liyuan Company's debt collector set up a table and sat with complete audacity right in the village committee's courtyard. And right next to him, he placed a sign with a QR code for payments, a modern touch for our villagers to admire. He announced that everyone should come to the committee to pay this month's bill and activate their smart IC cards. To ensure her irrigation wasn't interrupted, Aunt Wendy was among the very first to arrive. She held a few crumpled bills tightly in her hand as she approached the table. Her face still wore the cheerful smile of someone who believes they've found a bargain as she addressed the young man. She explained that for her small hillside plot, she only managed a couple of acres. Back when Ethan was in charge, she remembered that her monthly costs were quite manageable. In those days, she usually paid about $12 or $13 for the electricity to run the pump. She mentioned how her brother, the uncle, had promised this quality water would be half the price of the old way. She offered $10, innocently asking if that would be enough to cover her for the entire month. The collector was a young man with dyed yellow hair who didn't seem particularly interested in small talk. Without even looking up, he continued chewing his gum and took Aunt Wendy's card from her hand. He swiped it through the machine, which responded with a sharp, clinical beep. After tapping a few keys, the machine began to spit out a receipt that seemed over 3 feet long. He confirmed her name was Wendy and handed over the bill with total indifference. The total for the month came to $248, quite a leap from 10. He asked if she was paying with the code or cash, warning her that if the balance wasn't settled, the water would be cut off by tomorrow. Aunt Wendy's smile froze on her face instantly. The few bills she was holding nearly slipped from her fingers and fell to the dusty ground. Thinking she must have misheard him, her legs went weak and she nearly stumbled right then and there. She stammered in disbelief, asking if he had really said over $240. She suggested that perhaps the young man had simply misplaced a decimal point by mistake. She accused them of robbery, unable to fathom paying hundreds for such a tiny plot of land. Aunt Wendy's shout echoed through the air, leaving the rest of the waiting villagers completely stunned. The young man with the yellow hair simply rolled his eyes in response to her outburst. With an impatient sigh, he used his pen to point at the receipt, which was cluttered with various charges. He told her that even if she couldn't read, she still needed to be reasonable about the situation. He insisted it was all there in black and white, directing her attention to the very first line. The basic water rate was actually quite cheap, only about 15